Okay, so let's get started. If people come a little bit late, that's all right. This is the second webinar of a 4 webinar series. Last week, we had another one with teacher resources. The ones in October are primarily for teacher resources, things that you can use in the classroom uh, to learn about, things that you can use in the classroom, either as curriculum or activities to help you teach computer science and cybersecurity. And they're all different. Computer science is such a vast field that I think today you'll see that there's a couple of different, there's a good variety of things that you can use in your classroom. So with that, I don't want to take up any more time because I'll be talking at the end about Legos and cybersecurity, but I would like to turn it over to Amelia Adkins, who is calling in from Montana today with Ring, and I'll let her talk about Ring. Thanks, Amelia.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really thrilled to be here. I'll go ahead and share my screen and I can run through the presentation that I have to share. Just so I know I'm on pace, is it 15 minutes for presentation and about 5 for questions? Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So I will go ahead and can you guys see my screen? It's kind of looking like it's paused. Okay, great. So like Laura introduced me, thank you. My name is Amelia Adkins. I'm a Ring instructor at the University of Alabama in Huntsville's Center for Cybersecurity Research and Education. It's a mouthful, but basically I just teach students cybersecurity content online, and part of my job also includes outreach, which is what we're doing today. I love to talk about Ring, what it includes, how to utilize it in your classroom, and that's really kind of what I want to share with everyone today. So when I say Ring, I mean Regions Investing in the Next Generation. That is our grant, that is our project. And what it includes is a free cybersecurity curriculum that was designed with high school students and teachers in mind. The goal at the center of this is to provide engaging, accessible, and age-appropriate online curriculum. And as we created this, we really focused on 2 standards, the Cybersecurity Curriculum Guidelines and the Targeted Foundational Center for Academic Excellence Knowledge Units. To utilize Ring, there are a few different ways that we carry this out nationwide. You can see the 3 on our screen here, but the 2 that I want to focus on for today's purpose and for today's presentation are the centralized instruction and the external instruction. So centralized instruction is hosted by teachers like myself. We have some different teachers on our team. We facilitate a Canvas course, and students can join our online asynchronous cybersecurity teaching experience. And that's mostly for students who don't have access to cyber teachers locally but still want to learn more. They can run through that with us in a school year duration, in a summer, in a semester, just depending on what course they enroll in. But that's something that we offer through our centralized course.
Hey, Amelia, we can't see your slides.
Oh no.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sorry, I thought I saw someone give me a thumbs up. And so I was like, okay, I'm good. Oh gosh.
We can see them from here. Yes. Okay.
There we go. Okay, I'll back out. We can look at it this way. I'm glad you told me. So now that you can see my screen too, and you can read what's on here, the other option is external instruction. And this is when teachers gain access to our curriculum and then disperse it in their classrooms. Maybe that looks like using a few of our materials and a few of our resources to kind of fit their needs, or utilizing the full 180 instructional days worth of material that we have. So they're kind of different ranges of how you might want to utilize it and apply it to your learners in your space. Some examples that Laura and I have discussed that might be valuable to some teachers here are kind of a blend of the centralized and the external instruction spaces. For example, if a teacher wants their students to have the Ring experience, but might not feel like they maybe feel comfortable instructing it, they can have their classroom students enroll in the online centralized instruction experience, and us online can take care of the material circulation and kind of facilitate that learning and grade everything, whereas that teacher on site would kind of monitor and manage the classroom. And then another great example that Laura provided that we could accommodate would be if a teacher had a variety and a range of learners in a given classroom, particularly maybe with some students with a greater appetite for learning, that work at a different pace and just really want to learn more. Those students individually could enroll in our centralized instruction while still being on site with that teacher and kind of have their own little group of learning, while that teacher can apply their attention to other learners in those different ranges of needs. So there's a lot of different ways to apply and utilize training, and we're really, really happy to meet with you, chat with you, and just see how we can show up in your space in the ways that you need us to. So as we crafted Ring, like I said, we focused on 2 different standards. The first being the cybersecurity curriculum guidelines that are put out and maintained by the National Cryptologic Foundation. We have 10 units in Ring, an introductory unit, and a Python programming unit kind of serve as supplemental units. And then our other 8, as you can see on the screen, are tracked back very heavily, super thoroughly to our CCGs. We also kind of have a sprinkle of the targeted foundational CAE knowledge units, the Center for Academic Excellence knowledge units. About 25% of our content is also, while it is tracked to the CCGs, is also tracked to the CAE knowledge units. So we're implementing those. I think, like I said, it was only 25%, but we're doing this with the goal that students can be exposed to this higher level of learning, and kind of have a bit of experience with it, in hopes that when they potentially pursue a higher institution and they attend a CAE, that this is content that they have been exposed to, that they're familiar with, that they've worked with, and that it's not completely new and foreign to them. So our team does not have the capacity, unfortunately, to track our content to all 50 of the state's standards. But for today's purpose, I went through the Wyoming computer science standards and pulled some examples of Ring activities and assignments that could be aligned with what you're instructing in that computer science space that might be helpful for your teaching. Those computer science standards applied to K through 12, and there were 5 different domains, and I found examples that applied to all 5 of those domains and at least all of the grades once. And I kind of have a mix of activities, graphic organizers, and then just some resources. So the first one that I included is a little binary blitz game where students work with binary numbers and then convert those to decimal and vice versa, and that's pretty fun. I think it would be suitable for middle school. We have an activity where they look at the inner workings of a computer and they label them, which I think could be as straightforward as students matching those names to those items, or even providing a definition if they are a bit more confident or a bit older. Another example that I have is the 2-factor authentication assignment. And in this space, students are given an example and they're asked to identify if it includes 2-factor authentication, and if it doesn't, to elaborate. If you wanted to modify this for some younger learners, you could take out that elaboration and just have that example where they say yes or no. We have an entire unit on programming, which aligned well with the programming computer science standards, and I have some examples of the loops and nested conditional work there. And then lastly, there were some standards in the data analysis space, and so I pulled the data privacy laws research, and then students kind of analyzing different people groups and their privacy concerns. And as I was looking at these and the range and the different domains, I was also becoming aware of just how well this could even potentially apply to other subject areas. I felt like the researching the data privacy laws and looking at those people groups could even be applied to civics or a social studies space. We talk about political structures, societal norms, values, and ethics as well. I think that programming is valuable to so many different careers and so many different spaces. So if an educator wanted to pull that programming unit for Python, they absolutely could. I just think that it could be translated to a lot of different areas, and I would encourage educators to do so. In this curriculum package that we're offering, we have lesson plans and instructor sites that really structure the educator's work if they wanted it to. It has side-by-side instruction, how to facilitate warm-up activities, discussions, and then tracks all 180 days. We have labs and games that are kind of different fun formats to learn, graphic organizers for structuring and organizing, compartmentalizing that learning. And then we have assessments every approximately 10 instructional days in the form potentially of a project or a lab or a test. And then throughout all of this, we work really hard to produce visually rich content that's engaging and a bit more fun for students to work with. So sorry, I realize I might have taken too much time. I'll be quick, but we have our 10 slide or 10, sorry, the lights went out. I was too still for a bit. We have our 10 units, one of which being introductory, and then our 1 through 9 focus on content. And what that looks like, if you're an educator and you want to become involved, we have a Canvas page that we encourage everyone to hop into and join. If instructors have Canvas as their LMS, they can even get a copy of this and pull it to their own class space and then just utilize it from there. But we encourage everyone to join this because there are updates each year as we kind of turn over the curriculum and look for holes or assess feedback and kind of update that and fix that. So it's great to be in the loop and know what's changed. Sample syllabus, learning outcomes, and then we have all of our units here. I'll be kind of quick as I go through it, but we have a content list, which is a really simple way to view all of the assignments, whether that be graphic organizers, viewing guides, activities. We have those reviews and resources. We have the Google Drive folder of the lesson plans, and it has that day by day. This is a really short unit, but it has all of the slides, what you could say there, the additional questions you could ask, how you could make it a bit lengthier, but then also those assignments linked and those resources are linked too. We also have the instructional slides, teacher and student, and the teachers just kind of have footnotes, answers, so on and so forth. If you were to look at the modules themselves, we have those resources, kind of the overarching ones that apply to the entire unit, those slides, you have your content list, the lesson plans, and then games you might want to implement throughout any point in time. And then we also have our content labeled day by day. So you would know to assign this work on this day, this work on that day, so on and so forth. And then we have student and teacher versions of these too. The student is blank, and then the teacher has the answers and any other notes you would need. That was kind of a hard and fast Canvas demo, but I really encourage you to join it. It's super easy to get access and something that you could walk through and play with. And to do so, all you have to do is fill out this Google form and provide us proof of your educator status, hopefully with an email affiliated with a school or an institution. The turnaround's pretty quick. I'm sure if you requested today, you would be in it by tomorrow. We want to get this out to everyone, so we make that process as simple as possible. And the last 2 points that I have are that students involved in Ring in any form of a course have access to our Ring student org that's kind of hosted by our central staff. We do encourage individuals who have a concentration of Ring students locally to create their own chapters. That would be really fun and invigorating. But we also, through the centralized course, we host events and leaderboards, monthly guest speakers, we advertise news, internships, scholarships, camps, and opportunities, and just kind of help them with different resources as we find them. We also highlight the nice work roles, kind of in that previous note on the monthly guest speakers. We have individuals join monthly meetings and they get to interact with our students and talk about what their career looks like, how they got to that point in their career, what they enjoy about it, their educational journey, a lot of different things. But if you or someone that you know would love to speak and talk about your experience, you can use this QR code to fill out the Google form to become a guest speaker. That is all I have as far as talking about Ring and presenting it. But before I totally leave off, I want to note that if you have questions about my presentation, if you have questions about implementing Ring in your classroom in whatever form fits you best, if you want to chat, no question is too small or too big, reach out at ring@ciecommunity.org to get connected with us, and we would love to chat. But that's everything that I have. I'll leave this up in case anyone needs it, but I'm happy to open it up for questions if there are any.
I think one of the things that I just want to emphasize is that if you have a small school in Wyoming and you don't have a computer science teacher, Ring will provide one, and it doesn't cost anything, correct, Amelia?
Right. So it's absolutely free. However, we're cyber-based, if that's okay, for those computer science instructors, but we would absolutely love to help, and it's so free.
I think that's really important. And then I've also talked to some other teachers at, camps and things like that and conferences, and they've said that I've got this one kid that's just so far advanced, I can't keep up with him or her. And that could also be helpful for Ring, correct?
Absolutely. So if they have an individual student that's just tearing it up and working through the content and those assignments, they can join our centralized course and have that additional learning opportunity too. So it can be one student, it can be the whole class, it can be a mix, it can be arranged, but we welcome all.
Great. Thank you. Are there any other questions for Amelia? She is going to have to go because she's actually taking a college class, and so I want to make sure that you have time to ask her questions now, if you do. Okay. So thank you so much, Amelia. We appreciate you coming today. The next people up are from the B program. It's Stephen Lupian and Candace Ryder. And I'm going to let Stephen explain what BEE stands for when it doesn't buzz.
Well, hello, everybody. And thank you for allowing Candace and I to chat with you a little bit. BEE stands for Blockchain Education for Everyone. So let me share my screen for a second. And can everybody see that?
You can.
Okay, perfect. Well, just to talk a little bit about what the B program is and why I think it's important for Wyoming is, Wyoming has taken a very progressive lead in the blockchain and digital asset space. Since 2017, Wyoming has passed over 30, it's actually 35 right now, pieces of legislation that are designed to enable digital assets and digital asset companies to operate in Wyoming. Look, the reality of the situation of Wyoming is we are an extraction-based state, and extraction products are under attack right now. And the state and the state's economic development agencies recognize that we need to diversify our economy in new and different ways. And the legislature and the governor's office believe that blockchain could be a very important component in Wyoming's future. So since 2017, we've done a couple of remarkable things. We are the first state to actually define what digital assets are under the law. What do I mean by digital assets? Well, digital assets are cryptocurrency, but they're also things like tokenization of physical assets. It's also, the ability to use blockchain for supply chain tracking. And we're going to get into a little bit of that when we get into how the B program works. But I just want you to, expand your thoughts that we're not creating a Bitcoin-based economy. We are creating a digital asset-based economy. And so what else have we done besides the first token taxonomy? And by the way, Congress in 2021 introduced House Resolution 1628, which is essentially Wyoming's token taxonomy laws. So, we led the way in that way. We're also the very first state to map digital assets to UCC law, which is the business law that every state uses so that states can interoperate and have very similar business laws. It wouldn't make sense to have, Louisiana have one set of business law and Wyoming another. How would companies operate in that environment? So we are the first to do that. And now UCC, the national body, is using the model law of Wyoming to push out to all other 50 or 49 states. We've created a fintech sandbox, which allows companies to operate in a regulated way with new and unique business products. We did something really significant, which was we created the first new type of financial institution in the US in over 60 years. And they're called special purpose depository institutions. And they're going to have a pretty significant impact on our economy, both in the way of jobs as well as the revenue that they bring into the state. And we've done some other interesting things. Probably the most notable one that's going on right now is Wyoming is going to be creating its own payment stable token. And the governor's office, in cooperation with the treasurer and the auditor, is actually leading a team right now to actually do that. So digital assets are going to have a very important role in all of our lives here in Wyoming. So the B program is essentially the governor's office created something called the Wyoming Innovation Partnership, and it is designed to help the state with projects that modernize and focus on developing a resilient workforce, and again to help stimulate and expand our economy. And the University of Wyoming is very proud that we are working with other state agencies, including WDE. Dr. Michelle Aldrich has been a co-creator of this program with myself, but also our community colleges, our Wyoming Business Council, and the Department of Workforce Services have all worked together to kind of develop this program. So let me give you the 30,000-foot view first. What is this program all about? Well, it's designed to provide curriculum to our educational institutions across the state of Wyoming, both in primary and secondary school, our community colleges, obviously the University of Wyoming, and lastly, even adult education, to provide education about exactly what is blockchain and what are digital assets, what do I need to know about them, and how are these going to, is this new asset class going to impact the state and possibly even my employment in the future. So what we really wanted to do was provide a turnkey educational system to help educators teach this within their existing programs, and without them having to spend a lot of time developing it all themselves. So I'm going to switch over right now to our program page, and can you all see the slide that says topics covered? So
no,
can everybody see that?
We're still on your PowerPoint.
Got it. Then let me fix that real quick. And give me 1 second, you all. I appreciate you allowing me to do this. Let me share the screen. There we go. Now we see it, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so here is essentially how the curriculum works. Okay, it's designed for high school students and is really an overview of how digital assets work from a big picture standpoint. So from a 30,000-foot view, the topics we're going to cover are blockchain, cybersecurity, Web 3.0, financial literacy, and something that's evolving really quickly here, not only in the US, but globally, but this new decentralized financial services industry, which is disrupting how our existing financial service industry works. So I'm going to whip very quickly, because I want to keep us all on time, just through what the modules are to give you some idea, and I'm going to do this very quickly. So what is a module? Okay, well, a module begins with all of the teaching material that a faculty member is going to need. And we're assuming faculty members are going to be teaching either entrepreneurial classes or computer science or business or some sort of existing program within the high schools focused on business and digital literacy. So a module involves videos. They're generally 25 to 30 minutes long, which cover a lot of the subject matter, but also all of the teaching material that goes along with that for the faculty. We'll get into that in a second, but I wanted to talk about what's covered in each module. So module 1 talks about how did blockchain come about? When did this all start? Why did this industry become as big as it is today? And then we move on to what's really happening in money and finance, and how is this new digital economy, how is this Web 3.0 economy developing, where not only can we do transactions on the internet, but now we can move value on the internet. Web 3.0 is going to revolutionize the way that we use the internet, and it's happening really now. So it's really topical that we're talking about this. We then go on to what we call tokenomics. Digital assets allow you to tokenize and create digital representations of almost any asset. And there's a lot of power to that, because once you tokenize something, you can transact with it digitally, across the country and, quite frankly, across the world. And cryptocurrency plays into that in many cases as well, too, because they become the new medium of exchange, which is going to happen in the world. Look, we hear a lot about things like Bitcoin, but the reality of the situation is, cryptocurrencies are operating in ways that you're not even really aware of. The Venmo and the PayPal products are all moving towards cryptocurrency models. And Elon Musk announced the reason he bought Twitter was not because he was concerned about social media. He wants to turn Twitter into a payments platform. And that's going to be handled through tokenomics and cryptocurrency. NFTs are becoming incredibly important. NFTs are non-fungible tokens. These are digital assets that represent only a single thing. Now, you hear a lot of it with things like artwork and paintings and poetry and things like that, but it's much, much broader than that. NFTs are now being used in business and are also being used for many uses in the new developing ESG, environmental social governance economy, where companies are using NFTs to make sure that they meet environmental standards as they manufacture and produce products. So very, very important module. How do you make money off of these NFTs? We're going to spend a little time there as well, too. Interestingly, I love the title of this module, Who Says Blockchain Isn't Fun and Games, isn't just fun and games, really is how it should be titled, because digital assets are finding their ways into entertainment today. Our students, many of them are involved in esports and the gaming community. And interestingly, they tend to understand digital assets better than many adults do, because in their gaming environments, they're using digital assets all the time. That's what a loot box is. When you're buying skins and you're buying capabilities, those are digital assets, just in an entertainment form. So we want to connect the dots between the gaming world and, frankly, what they're learning in that environment is going to relate to their business environments. We're seeing a lot of changes in the general entertainment industries. Interestingly, a world record was set not that long ago when a DJ hosted a live event inside a gaming platform and had over 20 million live participants. So what we're seeing now is we're seeing media, entertainment, and business all kind of merging together. So how do we navigate that in this new world? What business opportunities is that going to create in the future? So we spend some time there. I'm almost done, I promise. As we become a more digital environment, the vulnerabilities to ourselves and our personal data becomes increasingly important. And one of the challenges that society faces today is we willingly give up our personal data in exchange for convenience. And that's going to create increasingly bigger challenges in the future. So we want to spend a time with students talking about, what exactly is happening when they just clicked accept on a new app. You know, what happens when they share data online, and what's the potential ramifications in the short term? But not only that, but in the long term, things that you put on the internet today may come back and impact you 10, 20, 30 years from now. And I think students need to be aware of exactly what role they play in that. So digital, we all hear about the challenges with some cryptocurrencies. Well, as we're moving towards this cryptocurrency and digital asset economy, how do you protect yourself? So we're going to spend some time there as well too. We're going to talk about how digital assets impact business. You know, quite frankly, most food products right now are tracked on a blockchain. Why? What is that? Why are businesses choosing blockchain as a technology for that? What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? What safety does that bring about? We're going to address that. Only two more, I promise. Okay. It's great that we learn all this, but so what? Why do we want to learn about blockchain and digital assets? Well, quite frankly, you know, most students will be impacted by this. A recent LinkedIn study published last year, LinkedIn asked employers what was the #1 skill they were looking for in graduates. It was focused for college graduates, but I think it applies to community college and high school as well too. The #1 skill they were looking for was, how can this new employee help our company navigate this new digital world? So quite frankly, companies are looking to our younger generations who inherently understand this technology, you know, navigate it. And frankly, I think understanding what those career paths look like is important for students. And then lastly is, with all of this that's happening, how do students understand this new digital economy, and how do they navigate making sure that they understand these components so that they can build a solid financial future? So those are the 12 modules, and frankly, faculty can mix and match and use all the modules or whatever modules they choose as they introduce this into their students. But we're not going to just give you video modules, okay? That's one component. We're also going to give you a lot of the other tools that you need to successfully launch this program, including things like graphic novels, teacher study guides, teacher resources, quizzes, exams, and use cases. We want to give you all the tools that you need to really provide a world-class curriculum to your students without you having to dedicate a lot of your own resources in learning this. So I don't want to go over on my time. So I will also offer any questions that anyone has. Please feel free to reach out to either Candace or myself at the University of Wyoming. And before I go, and I'm sorry I've dominated it, Candace, you want to turn off your mute for a minute and introduce yourself and let everybody know why they would also want to reach out to you.
And so, hi, I'm Candace Ryder. I'm have helped with the instructional design pieces on this and on the B program. And so I am here to answer any questions, help you figure out what you can do, what pieces. We've had interest from intro to business courses on adding some of our pieces into it. You don't have to take, you know, it is, I don't remember if Steve mentioned this. This is free to any school in the state of Wyoming. And so you can pick and choose which modules you want to use, and we will give you access to that, and you can add it to any course.
Candace, we did have one question come up in
Yep.
the chat. If we did the full B program, what is the estimated length of the program? 1 semester, 1 year?
It depends on if it's, I'm assuming this is all K through 12 audience. So it would not be a full semester because there's 12 modules. I might spread it out to maybe a full semester and not do it every single day, you know, something like that. That's really where Michelle comes in and helps us design where pieces go. But for right now, what we've heard is that people are just picking certain modules and adding them into their current curriculum.
If I could just chime in, again, I think it depends on how the faculty wants to deal with this. Many faculty I talk to says, you know what, each module really represents 3 days worth of discussion. So you would show the module on one day and answer some, some initial questions. On your second day, using the teaching material that we have, you can now dig a little bit deeper and spend your next class just answering FAQs and walking through, in much greater granularity what the material was really about. And on a third day, you could do use cases and roundtables and projects. So I think it really depends on what the faculty wants to do and which modules they want to do. So I think it's designed to have the flexibility for whatever you as a faculty member wants to do. I suspect you could probably show the 12 modules in 12 days and say, that's the curriculum, but I'd hope that you would use the other components that we have and expand it. But we wanted to make it as flexible because your students and what your students can absorb and on what pace. But we'll work with you to help you cater this program to however you'd want for your students and your curriculum. So and thank you for acknowledging that, Amy.
So any other questions for Steve or Candace? Okay.
Thank you all. I am also going to have to step away. Candace, if you could stick around for any questions. But thank you all, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
Awesome. So next up we have cyber.org with Charlene Cooper, and cyber.org also has some great K-12 materials. So Charlene, you are up.
Thank you. Let me share my screen here. Okay. Can everyone see my screen? We're good.
Yes.
Okay, great. And I'm also going to drop this. I'll be dropping some links in the chat as I go through this. All right, so I'm going to start just by giving a quick introduction to cyber.org and then talk about our resources and our curriculum that are available to educators. And then hopefully I'll have some time to do a quick demo of our cyber.org range and then give you some information on upcoming professional developments and then an opportunity at the end to ask questions. So I'm so happy to be here this afternoon. I'm coming to you from our home office, which is in Bossier City, Louisiana. And I just want to take a moment to introduce myself before we get started. So I'm Charlene. I'm one of the cybersecurity curriculum specialists here at cyber.org. And I've been with the team for just a little over 3 years now. Before that, I was a teacher and an instructional coach. And I truly love that I'm still able to provide support for teachers through the work that we do at cyber.org. And I have my email here and I'll put it in the chat at the end also. And so I hope that if you have any questions later on today, next week, next month, I hope you'll feel comfortable reaching out to me. And I'm happy to answer questions. I love hearing from teachers and offering support where I can. So a little bit about cyber.org. Our vision here is to build a future where the nation's cybersecurity needs are met by a knowledgeable, skilled, and passionate workforce. And we believe that classroom teachers are essential to that process. And since the majority of our team is made up of former classroom teachers, we truly know and understand the impact that a teacher can have. So far, we have trained over 28,000 educators, and as that number continues to grow, it's very exciting for us. So all of our work, our professional development, and our curricula are funded through CISA, which stands for the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. And this means that we're able to provide all of our resources to K-12 teachers in the United States at no cost. And so we have many fun, age-appropriate cybersecurity activities for students to engage with on our website. We'll start there. I'm sure you can guess the name of the website. I put it in the chat, but it's cyber.org. And you can click on that in the chat, that link, or just follow along with me here. So if you go to our site and then you scroll down the page just a little bit, you're going to see a section that highlights our cyber safety videos, and you can go ahead and click on Browse Videos. And we have 9 short classroom-friendly videos. They can easily be integrated into your classroom. And they're really great to incorporate when you don't have a large amount of time and you still want to continue to make that instructional time meaningful. The topics covered are meaningful for all students, and we have videos on the Internet of Things, social media, safety, ransomware, phishing, making strong passwords, online gaming safety, multi-factor authentication, and video call safety. So this is just a shot from one of our videos on phishing, and the video is just a little over 2 minutes. In pretty simple language, it explains what phishing is, and more importantly, some practical tips that can be taken to protect yourself. So before I forget, let me put the link into the chat there. And so here's another clip from the video, and it discusses how scammers may trick you into giving up your personal information. In this inbox here, you'll see an incoming message from Kingfisher Bank, and that message looks urgent. And when you click on it, it prompts you to enter your account credentials. And I know many of you, probably like me, receive several of these a day through email or even through text messages. And so this is a meaningful scenario for students and also for teachers. And then there are tip cards that are included for every video to reinforce what you and your students can do to keep yourself safe online. The videos are designed to provide information that you can easily use to start discussions on these important cybersecurity topics. So if we go back to our website, at cyber.org and click on families, the first item on that dropdown is keys to cybersecurity. And you can click on that. And then if you're watching this later, I'm going to put this link into the chat for you also. So if you click on that link for keys to cybersecurity, you'll see that the keys, they're self-paced, autonomous, engaging activities that are designed to introduce students in grades 3 through 8 to basic cybersecurity concepts. And they're great when you want to go beyond the cyber safety videos and give students an opportunity to engage just a little bit more with that content. There are 4 elementary keys, PII, online safety, authentication, and connected devices. And then for middle school, we also have 4, and they are protecting your digital footprint, online threats and vulnerabilities, defense in depth, and then protecting connected devices. And then one of the last things I want to show you on our website are the cyber career profiles. Drop this in the chat. So we have 24 career profile cards that highlight different careers in cybersecurity. And at a glance on this page, you'll see the degree or the certification that's required along with job growth. And of course, the really important part that kids always want to know right away is the salary. But you can also see that on the left, there are some search options so that you can search that way. And if you click on a card, it's going to give you more information that includes common job duties as well as soft skills. And I think sometimes we get this image in our mind of cybersecurity professionals, and they are, wearing a hoodie and sitting in a dark room, and they're all alone on a computer. But many of these jobs also require skills like leadership and excellent communication. And I even have one of my coworkers that has stopped referring to these skills as soft skills, and instead she calls them power skills. And I think that's so great. I love it. I think she's absolutely right, because those are a lot of the skills that make a difference. And so you can even click on download the card, and then you'll see that information compiled in a format that can easily be printed out. And then there's also an option there, posters. Okay, so those were resources that were available on our website. There are a few others also, but I also want to talk about our curricula. So our curricula, we have divided into 3 categories: our cybersecurity courses, introductory technology courses, and then integrated cybersecurity courses. And so these 5 courses here are right now kind of our main focus. We have our cybersecurity course, which is designed for students in high school. It's a year-long course, and it's designed to prepare students for the CompTIA Security Plus certification. There are over 150 lesson topics in this course, and it also includes labs and case studies. And then these labs are designed to be used with our cyber.org range. Underneath that, you'll see cybersecurity basics, and this is a non-technical, very introductory course for students in grades kindergarten through 8th grade. And so it focuses on cybersecurity in 2 domains: digital citizenship and security. And it gives students an opportunity to learn some of the more important concepts and terminology that's used. And all of those lessons are scripted out, because we know that we have some teachers who are teaching cybersecurity, or who are asked to teach cybersecurity and aren't fully comfortable with that. So we have some support there for them as well. We also have a networking course for students in grades 9 through 12. This course also utilizes our cyber.org range, and it goes through some networking concepts with students. Our Intro to Cybersecurity course is designed for grades 8 through 12. This course is meant to be in between the cybersecurity basics and the cybersecurity course. So it's really great for students who are more interested in pursuing careers in cybersecurity. And then also it has a really great combination of hands-on activities and the use of the cyber.org range. And last, we have Cyber Society, which I love this course. This is our liberal arts course, and it engages students in discussions on cybersecurity and cyber, as well as we have some scenarios in there where students have an opportunity to take on the role of a DHS agent as they sift through briefing folders. They have to work together to try and figure out what may have caused the situation that's happened, what the motivations were, and then what the response of the United States government should be. So that's a really great activity for promoting teamwork and critical thinking skills. Okay, so as I mentioned before, our curricula is available to all K-12 educators in the United States at no cost. We do need for teachers to sign up so we can verify that they're K-12 educator in the US. And to make that process easier, it helps if you use your school email address. So I'm going to put the link into the chat. And when you receive access to the curricula, you receive access to everything. So if you're a high school teacher, you're going to get access to all of our courses, and you'll be able to go through there and see what best meets the needs of your students. And after you apply, you'll receive notice that you've been approved through email, and then you'll log in kind of at the same place using your login credentials. And then we also use Canvas as it's more of a library that we use to house our curricula. It's not going to be able to be integrated with Canvas that you're using with your school. Instead, it's a place where you can download the files, the teacher notes, the labs, the PowerPoints, and have access to everything in one spot. Okay, so I've checked the time. Okay, I've mentioned several times that some of our courses utilize the cyber.org range. And our range, it is a cloud-based environment that's capable of running virtual machines with access to the internet, but it's closed off from any private networks. So students are able to use the range to get hands-on practice using real world tools with common cyber attacks, and they can also learn how to defend against them. I'm going to put this here, and then let me switch the screen so we can do just a quick demo of a lab in the range. Okay, so we also have you apply for access to the range, and you'll receive an email. You'll receive through email your login credentials, and when you receive access, you have 2 classes, and you can have up to 40 students in each class, but we can increase that number based on your request and your needs. So what we're going to do here is just very quickly
We're
example
still
of a.
seeing your presentation. Did you want to switch over to the range yet, or?
Oh, you're still seeing the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see here. Thank you for telling me that. Let me stop
I really want
sharing.
to see the. I really want to see the lab.
Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to start sharing. Okay, are you seeing the lab now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for letting me know. All right, so there's 4 different options here. We have a Kali Linux machine, Windows 7, vulnerable Windows 7, Windows 22, and there's also an Ubuntu machine, but we're going to start here with Kali. I'm going to use the Kali machine to launch the attack, and then we'll go to Windows 7, where we'll see what would happen with the victim. So to launch this attack, I'm just going to do sudo toolkit. And so I'm just typed in sudo se toolkit, and this is also one of the labs in the cybersecurity course. And so of course I'm prompted here. There are terms of service, and this is saying that I'm going to use this not for malicious intentions, but for learning. So I'm going to select a Y for yes. And then it's pretty simple following these steps. I want to do a social engineering attack, so I'm going to have 1 and enter. And then a website attack vector, so 2 and enter. And then this is I'm going to use a credential harvester attack method, so 3 and enter. And then I'm also going to use a web template, 1. And now this is asking me to verify the IP address, and I can see, I can verify my IP address up here. And so that's correct. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter again. And I want to do this through Google. I know we have a lot of students, my own son, who at his school within the school district, they use Google for everything. So 2. Okay, so now I have launched the attack. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over to my vulnerable Windows 7 machine. And I'm going to go ahead and open up Google. And all I need to do here is I'm going to enter the IP address of the Kali machine, 10.15.118.35, and hit enter. And so I have a Google login screen here. I've seen something similar to this many times. And this is a great place to talk to students about, well, right away I see that there's some warning signs here. This isn't secure, but if I'm in a rush and I need to go ahead and make sure I get my homework assignment in, or the teacher said you need to check this, I may just go and very quickly enter my credentials without double checking. So I'm going to type in my email and then my password. And I have such a good password. It has a lot of characters in it, so I know that makes it a little bit stronger. And I'm going to click sign in. And I know I don't want Google to save my password, so I'm going to select never. But then even here is another warning sign. It's still prompting me to sign in. And again, if I'm in a rush, I may not notice this, and I'm going to click sign in and go back through that same process. So now let's go back to the Kali machine and see what happened. So if I go up here, I can see that I have a hit, and then I look here and username, Charlene Cooper at cyber.org, and that password, super secure password. And so this is a really great way for students to practice both looking at initiating that cyber attack. Why would a malicious actor want to do that? And then from the victim also, and seeing how that can be prevented. So our range, this is just a really quick range activity that I could demo here, but we have a lot of other activities and labs. There's over 150 in the cybersecurity course that students can use with this range. And what's really great right now, this is designed for high school students, but we're writing middle school labs also, so we can have our middle school students start to engage with this. And it's really fascinating to go through that, but also to be able to practice this in this safe environment. Okay. Are you seeing my PowerPoint now, or still the range?
We're still seeing the range.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing and start sharing again.
We've got your PowerPoint.
Okay, perfect. So we do have a lot of professional developments. I went through that very quickly, but if you were interested in learning more about any of those courses, more on the range, I can hear, I don't know if you can hear them, my colleagues in the background, they're doing a range professional development right now. But we do have those that are available on our site. So I'm going to go ahead and put cyber.org events. And those are available. They're no cost. They are virtual. And we do have parts of those recorded also that we can have available for you. And then something else this year that we're starting is teacher cohorts. And so this year we have 3 of them. One is for the range, one is for K-8 educators, and the other is for high school cybersecurity teachers. And the cohorts meet once a month to exchange ideas, share best practices, and really enhance teaching skills. So it's a great opportunity for continuous growth and collaboration. And so we have more information on our page also. And of course, you can email me, and I would be happy to answer any questions you might have. I'll put my email in the chat and then stop there and
I am
see if
so happy you showed us the range because I've heard so many things about it nationwide from teachers that use it and they really like it. So thank you for showing
yeah,
that to us today.
absolutely.
Any questions for Charlene? It was very concise and very informative. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat for her. I'm going to go ahead and start with my presentation about Legos and cybersecurity. So let me share my screen. And then I want to make sure that you see it. Okay, do you see the presenter's view or the regular view? Okay, thank you. Awesome. So we have a new program, and we sent out our first Lego models this fall. And we had so many teachers sign up for Legos models for the spring that the Wyoming Department of Education is actually buying us more. So they have actually gone out and helped us buy some materials. We're putting them all together and getting the shipping stuff with our grant from the Wyoming Community Foundation, but we didn't think that this would be quite as successful as it has been, and I guess that's a really good problem to have. So we're excited about that. So the first thing I want to show you is an actual Legos model, and these are the people that helped me put this together. This is Troy from Laramie County Community College. This is Michael from Wyoming Manufacturing Works, and this is my brother, who I twisted his arm to help me put this first Lego model together, which you see right here. And we are in one of my board members' basement on our work day. So this is definitely a Wyoming project of love. And the reason we had Laramie County Community College involved is because they have a static model, and they actually shared some of their scenarios and their teaching examples with us. So we were able to collaborate. And then the reason Wyoming Manufacturing Works is involved is because they have a giant traveling Lego city that they're using that is going to travel the state as soon as they get it finished. It's almost done. And it will be going to educational events and business events across the entire state. So just be aware that there are static models and traveling models, as well as these tiny little models that you can get from us in a suitcase. So what this is you can see all these wires. These are little wires and lights that are hooked up to the helipad. This is a Raspberry Pi, and we say that that is the hospital server room, or you can get a construction set. It could be that server room, and it depends on the model that you get. We obviously have a power supply. We say that the internet is the wireless router that we're hooked up to. And then we have an attack laptop and a defense laptop. And these are old laptops. They might be Windows 7 laptops. They're not hitting Wi-Fi, so it's safe if they're Windows 7 laptops. But the reason we're sending old laptops is because if one breaks in transit, what a great learning experience. You take it apart with the students and show them what's inside. And that's totally okay, because we'll get another one donated from my board of directors or one of our members as soon as they know that we're looking for old laptops. So as soon as one breaks, we should have another one coming in. So this kind of represents a small model of the internet and your computers that are on it. So what I want to show you first are these two videos. So I'm going to stop my share and make sure I can get over to the videos. Let's see. And are you seeing the video screen, or are you just seeing my Zoom screen? Michelle, what did you say? Because you were muted.
We're seeing the YouTube screen.
Okay, good. Okay. So let me make sure my share also had the sound. This is from Discovery Days. Okay. All right. So we're going to start it up again.
Now I'm going to turn that that on in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice job.
So these were two younger kids, and they were fighting to turn the MRI light off and on, which I thought was pretty awesome. And this was at the Wyoming Air National Guard Discovery Day. It was the first time that we'd had it just open so that kids could come in and play with it, and they were changing the programs and all sorts of stuff on them. Some of them were more advanced and were coming in and looking at the actual program, editing it, hooking up additional lights. And others were like these kids, and they were just fighting back and forth, like, I'm going to turn that on, I'm going to turn that off, and haha, you just turned it on again, and that kind of stuff. So it was a lot of fun. And then this is a
So we have
video
one program.
about how it works. So I'm going to go ahead and start that up again.
We have one program in Python that's programmed to turn on all the lights in the hospital model. So everything that's wired up to the Raspberry Pi has been turned on. And we have another one that is just for the MRI machine. If you can come down here and see. It's on the other side. And I can actually turn the MRI off and on as an attacker. So I'll go ahead and do that next. And that's what an attacker would do. So the rule for the attacker is this doctor figure that's a Lego. We based her off of a radiologist named Edith Quimby, who was very famous in the world of radiology. And so you have to hack Edith Quimby's password in order to get the MRI turned off or on. And so the defense team's job is to keep the lights on, and the attacker's team job is to turn the lights off. And there's multiple ways that the attackers can get in, and there's multiple ways that the defenders can try to defend themselves.
Okay. So I'm going to stop my share and get back to my PowerPoint. Okay, are we back at my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so that's just a little bit about it. And then what teachers get with this model, and you can see we just pack it up in hard-sided suitcases. We have a lot of foam in there. And you know, if one of the laptops breaks, it breaks. We'll send you another one. But what you get with it is you get 2 laptops, the Pi, the Raspberry Pi, the wireless router or switch, Ethernet cables, the HDMI cable, so that you as the teacher can hook the Raspberry Pi up to a monitor and, you know, mess with the kids a little bit if you want to. And then you get a thumb drive with the teacher's guide and searchable materials. And this is the type of stuff that's on it. We have Teach Cyber on here, but after seeing cyber.org and Ring, you could bring in other materials in there. I heard Ring was talking about Python programming. You could bring that module in, and you could bring in some of the cyber.org modules as well. So we just had some that I knew of but I've learned more at this presentation. And so we'll probably expand that too. We also mapped it to the computer science standards at the state level. And then we have example Python programs with each one, so that you don't have to recreate the program. You can take it and modify it easily. We give you all the tools if you want to do extra wires. We have wire strippers that are in the kit. We have the little tiny screwdrivers for the Raspberry Pi. So we have everything that you need in the kit and in the teacher's guide. And it's the first time we've sent it out. We sent 3 out this fall. So we should have it pretty perfected by the spring, you know, with things that we might have forgotten. So what we want you to do is we want you to get, you know, you get the Lego, and I guarantee you these Legos are going to come apart in the shipping. We put them together out there in chunks, but the students are going to have to put them back together. And then some of the wires might have come loose, or maybe they stopped working in transit. So now you get extra lights, you get extra wires, or maybe you want to just wire up more than what's there. And you wire them up to the Raspberry Pi, because there's a lot of different little pins that you can put into the Pi to make the lights come on. And we're only using maybe a handful of them. Then you have the students network, the Pi with the wireless router and the laptop, so they learn light networking skills. And if you can't ping the laptops from each other, then you know that you hooked it up wrong, and you got to keep trying. And so it can be a trial and error. So they definitely will need to troubleshoot what doesn't work. I can tell you, we've had to troubleshoot a lot because we're getting laptops donated from all over the place. And so we try to keep it standard, but they're not all standard. So it's real life. And then you can run a scenario. And we'll go through that in just a minute. But what I would say is, after you run one scenario with the students, make them come up with other scenarios as ideas and make it an assignment. So this is what running a scenario would look like. And I showed you a little bit about that in the video. So let's talk about the hack first. The students have to find out all they can about Dr. Edith Quinby. And so this is Dr. Quinby. We showed that on the video. But we do provide a little bit of social engineering on Dr. Quinby, and you can make up different ones. If you don't like Dr. Quinby, you can make up a different one, or you can have a student make up a different one. But we basically said that who they work for, and that they're currently filling a position in Denver. They graduated from Florida State in Tallahassee. Dr. Quinby was really active in her sorority there, Tri Delta. And here are her work and personal email addresses. Those are pretty easy to find on anybody on the internet, right? Where you went to school, what you did in school, and what your email addresses are. 2 accounts had been breached, Fitbit and LinkedIn, and her passwords for those were Forever Delta X3 and DX3 Forever. So she was really into her Tri Delta years. Her Facebook is completely open. She had no privacy information or privacy controls on it. And so we found out what her birthday was, what her husband's birthday was, and what her kids' birthdays were, and what their names are. And we found out what her husband did. So this is called OSINT, Open Source Intelligence. And then right there, you could actually assign each other, partners in school, to what can I find out about you or your family? And it automatically makes things more paranoid and makes people go in and want to lock down their social media accounts, which is always a good thing. So what does this mean? So what we want them to do is actually start loading up the PowerShell command. And the teacher's guide does have a PowerShell command cheat sheet, as well as the Linux command cheat sheet. So you are not, if you're not real sure about PowerShell and Linux, we've got that covered. And so this would be the hack program that is provided to you for the hospital. They're named something different for other models, but the MRI hack ps1.ps1 with the user of eQuinby, the host name of the IP address, and then we want to turn off the MRI. So before you can do that, you can put that in, but you have to guess the password. And so this goes further with the attack team. What is Dr. Quinby's password? Because they just put in the exact MRI hack, just that whole command that we just discussed. And they say, okay, what is the password? And they get to guess over and over again. And a lot of times we'll say, okay, go up to a whiteboard and guess what you think it is. Here's her old passwords. What do you think her new ones are? Here's all her personal information. And what the password ends up being is one of her old passwords with 1988, her birth year on the end of it. So it's a very typical use of date of birth in a password, which is one of the biggest guessed and biggest breached password methods. Then, you find out that there happen to be some default credentials. So you can get into the Edith Quinby user ID, or maybe you can get into the whole server room using the Pi ID. And so let's take a look at that hospital side. And sure enough, this is somebody logged into the hospital side, and you see that there's a couple of different programs that run the ambulance lights, the example lights, a front light, a helipad light, the MRI, and a street light. But look at this. SSH is enabled and the default password for Pi user has not been changed. So if you've ever used a Raspberry Pi, the default password is Raspberry, all small letters. So it would be very easy for them to look that up and see if they could actually get into the entire server room and get rid of or modify some of these green programs listed here, or programs listed in green. So all they would have to do is go in and they could copy it, they could remove, they could do all sorts of things, but they could go in and edit it as well using the Nano editor. And in PowerShell, Nano is an editing program, and students will want to use the mouse, but the mouse won't work in Nano. You have to use the keyboard. And so that's another learning tool that they have. Not everything runs with a mouse or touch screens or things like that. Some of it you actually have to type. And so if they wanted to change the MRI from 15 to from the 15 to an 18, they could make it stop working forever until the defense side figured out that, oh my gosh, somebody changed it from 15 to 18. And so it would be pretty easy for them to mess with it. They could also change the arguments down here in the Python program. So there's a lot of things they could do, or they could just, maybe it's the defense team and they want to hook up a new street light. And they wanted to copy that program. So if they are hooking up a new street light or something like that, we want to make sure they power off the Pi. The electricity isn't too bad, but they might get a little bit of a shock. And we do provide the mapping to the pins here. So you don't have to guess, but you could make the students do a little bit of trial and error if you wanted to. And then power back on and run the script and see if the new street light's on, or if the defense team can't get the MRI on because it was changed to a pin that is 33 and it should have been 15. Incorporating real life people and real life hacks is always fun. I would highly recommend going out to the Department of Justice website and looking at some of the Russian hacks from the Olympics. Those are excellent. And we actually outlined those in the Malcolm Wallach Civic Engagement Project through a civics lesson on social responsibility. So definitely think about that. Think about incorporating those things if you have that. If you don't know where they are, let me know. And of course, I will point you in the right direction. And you may also want to discuss, let's say you get a model that's a hydroelectric power plant or a oil derrick or an oil refinery or a water treatment plant, because those are some of the things that we'd like to talk about. We want the kids to see the things that are in their community with these Lego models. And so if they get into some of these critical infrastructure things like a water treatment plant, you might want to go out to open source programmable logic controllers, because these are a precursor or a really good learning spot for critical infrastructure programming. And this is the one that a friend of mine who lives in this world day in and day out has recommended, is OpenPLC on YouTube, which links to autonomylogic.com. All of them are free. So you could definitely put those in as well. And by the way, the Lego checkout is free as well. And then last week, we learned that the Idaho National Lab has free resources for teachers for nuclear. So if you are talking about critical infrastructure, definitely check out their webinars and events. And they said that they will even send staff to either virtually or in person to your classroom to talk about nuclear science and critical infrastructure for nuclear. So if you had a Lego model that was a nuclear power plant, I mean, wouldn't that be neat to have the Idaho National Lab come in and talk to, even if it was virtually? So Eleanor Taylor is the person that spoke last week about that. And if you need her contact information, we can definitely hook you up there. And so if you do want to register for a Lego program, I know we have we have a waiting list for the spring semester, but next fall, we don't have anybody signed up for next fall of 2024. Feel free to either sign up for the waiting list for the spring semester or the fall 2024 at cyberwyoming.org. slash Legos will redirect you to the program's Legos. So feel free to go ahead and check it out. It's completely free for this first year. We might have to start charging for shipping in one day, but we're not going to charge as long as our grant keeps coming. And thanks to the Wyoming Department of Education buying us more materials, our grant will stretch farther. So we might be able to stretch shipping payments for teachers all the way through next fall, which I'm crossing my fingers. That's what we're hoping to do. So any questions for me about that? I'll put my email address in the chat, of course, but if you have any questions, feel free to pipe up.
I was just thinking, Laura, that the nuclear piece is really a great resource, especially with the new nuclear power plant coming into southwestern Wyoming.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's important for our students to know that, because there's a possibility we may have 2 or 3 more of those coming into Wyoming, and we're going to need employees to work in those arenas. So thank you for sharing that.
You know, I was asking the Idaho National Lab, I said, where are we going to get our students? Are they going to come from France or Japan? Because we don't have that many nuclear engineering
Programs.
college education programs anymore. And they said there are some. I know there's some in Arkansas, and I think they said there were some in California. But they did say it's going to be a problem because a lot of those programs, every graduate is basically hired right out of it for the existing nuclear power plants. And so it will be really important for our high school teachers to expose our kids to that environment and where to go to college if they want to continue. And my guess is some apprenticeships are going to be popping up for that too. And we're definitely going to need to be talking about that.
Points. Any questions for Laura, Amy, or Katie?
Well, we finished with 10 minutes to spare then. You got 10 minutes back.
That's awesome.